Hello, welcome. And if you thought you were in the room to get Stephen Page's autograph, sorry to disappoint. But here we are. And I just want to welcome everyone to this room. So this session is called We Carry What They Couldn't Say, a journey of generation healing. My name is Lisa Smith, and I'm with the National Indigenous Homelessness Council, and I'm very honored to be the moderator for this session. And so before we begin, let's start in a good way. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the 2025 National Conference on Ending Homelessness is taking place on unceded Indigenous lands. The Jojage and Ghanaian Gahaga. This is a good time to tell everyone I'm from Newfoundland and Labrador, so and there's no translation services for me today. However, there is translation services, simultaneous interpretation, and you can get a headset here in the corner if you wish, or in the back, sorry. So today's session, why are we all here? Well, you know what? This is exciting. Today's session shares the story of how Shaweenam Abenoji transformed a derelict building into supportive housing for Indigenous youth with lived experience in or from the child welfare system. The Memengwaa Program uses youth-led, culturally grounded approaches to reclaim space, provide stability, and prevent homelessness. Through housing, education, employment, and mentorship, the program supports youth using a trauma-informed, healing-centered model that remains accessible, regardless of CFS involvement. Rooted in Anishinaabe identity and values, this work is about disrupting cycles of trauma and building long-term pathways to safety, healing, and self-determination. We're gonna make the world a better place. And so I'm pleased to welcome our panelists. We have Summer Fisher, Dakota Wedowitz, and Elaine Kennedy. And so I'll start by handing it over to you, Dakota. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dakota Wedowitz. So who we are, I'm Dakota. This is Elaine, and this is Summer. So we're gonna take turns on our descriptions of ourselves. So I'm Dakota Wedowitz. I'm the Director of Engagement at Shaweenam Abenoji. I've worked there for the past 8 years to empowering and uplifting Indigenous youth. Starting in this field as a teenager, I worked in the inner city drop-in centers as a support worker, as a team lead. And just something as a leader, I've recognized the gaps that exist in youth services and have worked to bridge them. I love creating opportunities for others to step into leadership positions and build programs that reflect community, culture, and hope. And I'm pretty passionate about creating core memories that last a lifetime, and I believe in the power of connection to heal and transform. I'll pass it on to Elaine.
Hello, I am Elaine. My pronouns are she, her. I'm one of the youth that resides in Memengwaa. I am a young transgender female who loves to go out and explore new things about my culture and my identity. In my free time, I write a lot of music. I did a lot of that in high school growing up, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. I like to be outdoors, going on walks, biking, hiking, anything to be outside. And yeah.
Bojo Kanawea, Nibin Ojik Dijnakas, Nipsing First Nation Donjaba, Winnipeg Donda. My name is Summer Fisher. I am from Nipissing First Nation, and I'm currently living in Winnipeg. I moved to Winnipeg about 3 years ago and started working at Shaweenam Abenoji as a wellness facilitator. My role started with language and cultural programming, and I've now transitioned on to working in the Memengwaa building, doing the same role, but more so in the evening and providing support for the post-majority youth. I'm also a university student at the University of Winnipeg, majoring in Indigenous languages, so language and culture has always been close to my heart. Language.
All right.
And Dakota, I'll just mention at this point that the panelists agreed that if should questions arise from you, the audience throughout, please feel free to raise your hand, and someone will be by to give you a microphone.
All right, thank you. So we'll go to the next slide. So Shaweenam Abenuji, this is our logo. We reside in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and we work with the Southern First Nation communities. And so Shaweenam Abenuji is a First Nations-led organization that recognizes the inherent connection between child, family, and community, and it works to provide the holistic programs and services that respond to the need. We were established in 2005, and we focused on keeping and returning children to their home communities. And again, we work with the Southern First Nation communities. And so Shaweenam Abenuji means nurture the child. It is an Indigenous-led nonprofit organization, and it provides the cultural ground and supports for Indigenous youth, children, youth, and families connected to the child welfare system. It's focused on healing, belonging, and empowerment through culture and community. And it offers supportive housing, life skills, youth engagement programs, and encourages leadership and self-determination for youth transitioning to independence, guided by the belief that when we nurture the child, we heal the generations. And I would also like to note, this is my first presentation to a very large group, as for all of us. So if I speak too fast, my apologies. I'm learning. And so these are the 8 communities we work with. Poplar River First Nation, Barons River First Nation, Pungassi First Nation, Little Grand Rapids First Nation, Blood Vein First Nation, Hollow Water First Nation, Black River First Nation, and Broken Head Ojibwe Nation. And I would like to mention that 3 of these communities are flying communities. And so the importance is there. Our objectives today, to gain insight about the unique First Nation-led transitional housing program, developing programs centered on the needs of Indigenous youth by preventing homelessness, emphasizing family participation and honors the Indigenous worldview of collective responsibility, and advocating for Indigenous youth and their families in a manner that respects and upholds Indigenous values. So the Memengwaa Program. Memengwaa translates to butterfly. Indigenous youth impacted by CFS care have the confidence in themselves, knowing their identity as Indigenous people, and building the life skills and resources and friendships with connections to support their happiness. To provide cultural-based, safe, and welcoming housing, one-on-one support services, resources which build identity, healing, life skills, and independence, holistic cultural land-based programming, and opportunities to build peer connections, mentorships, and kinship connections. Many of the external programs that these youth were referred to were not First Nations led, and therefore lacked the cultural competency to meet the community needs. The lack of cultural youth compatibility made it challenging for youth to comply with program expectations, leading many being discharged, putting them to a higher risk of experiencing homelessness. To address this issue, Shaweenam Abenuji began developing their own program for their own resources for young people. And we were established in 2018, but developed in 2017. And so what guides the program? Engaging the youth. Our program is guided and shaped by the youth, day in, day out. We adapt to the ongoing needs of the youth. And Victoria Fisher, she's the executive director of Shaweenam Abenuji. This is a quote from her: "The youth served by the Memengwaa Program have a sense of not just belonging, but ownership and responsibility in some of the experiences and how they interact with each other at the space." So I think it's important that the young people who are served by the resource are engaged in developing the resource. And so this is our program. We have 2 locations that currently house 26 youth and families. We have a 6-bed shared housing called White Buffalo Lodge, and our 18-unit apartment block, which is Nino Cassin's Hummingbird Nest. So White Buffalo Lodge, we also offer Wabishki, Shkode, Bijiki, Wikigin, the White Buffalo Lodge. It's a 6-unit transition home for female identified and Two-Spirit youth in and from care, with a priority for those at risk of homelessness. This home provides on-site support, shared living spaces, private rooms, and access to programming. Support staff are on-site days, evenings, and weekends, and we operate on End Homelessness Winnipeg funding, Child and Family Services when applicable, and Manitoba EIA support services. Something not mentioned as well, they can also pay their rent through affordable housing, which is 30% of their income. And Nino Cassin's Little Hummingbird. The Memengwaa Program manages an apartment complex with 18 units, offering both 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom options, all equipped with on-site support. Staff members are located in the main level to provide easy access to assistance. The design includes communal areas where residents can gather, fostering a sense of community while also allowing for the privacy within their own individual apartments. And the program emphasizes building a supportive community environment for its residents. The Memengwaa Program began their journey of expanding after applying for additional funding in 2020 through the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Rapid Housing Initiative. Shawaynam Abenuji was able to expand the program to include housing. Staff and other community members alike noticed that this new approach was making a significant impact. So our original building is the White Buffalo Lodge. It's where we began. It used to be co-ed, but within the last few years, we've kept it female or female identifying youth. And so it was just there, the housing is there, and Winnipeg's in a housing crisis. And so, and especially with our Southeast Indigenous youth, there's always opportunity for more. So this is Nino Casas before. It was a burnt derelict building that was at risk for demolition. And so we applied, we secured the funding, and within 14 months, this building was whipped around to an 18-bed, oh, sorry, I skipped it. We'll go to next. And so 18-bed apartment block. And so if you see the mural in the building, that was painted by the youth that originally lived in the building. We have entered our fourth year. And so many of them have transitioned out by now. And then part of the funding, we were able to get these beautiful shaped window frames. And it's such a hit, and it creates a welcoming space for youth that are scared. Because if you Google the address, it's gonna look scary. And so it's a nice surprise when people come by. And so we'll go to the next. And so this is what the 18-bedroom apartment blocks looks like. This is a 1-bedroom. So it comes fully equipped with everything. We have fridge, freezer, HVAC system, their own water tanks, dryer, washer, and their own AC units. And most of it is funded through CFS per diems or EIA housing or and homelessness funding. And so majority of them don't have to pay their rent. And so this is just a space for them to come, be comfortable, to experience living, to experience safety. And so our problem right now is many of them don't want to leave. So they're beautiful apartments, and I'm glad we're able to do this. And so you're going to see that there's a community resource, computer resource area, community kitchen, and this is our culture room, our wellness room. We hold every single room holds a meeting, every single room holds a program. There's not one room that's not being utilized. And what I don't have here is we recently converted one of the rooms into a rec room because it used to be our family room, but it just wasn't turning out that way. And so we put a pool table there, we put a ping pong table, and a dartboard, and it's such a hit. So, and so how do we accomplish this? This is what our team consists of. We have 7 support staff, 1 cookum, and we have 2 evening scabes, 2 overnight scabes, 3 youth transitional workers, we call them aunties, and 2 outreach workers. And we also have our holistic wellness worker who does our land-based programming, 2 supervisors, director of engagement, and we have a security team on site every day, 7 days a week. They reside primarily overnight evenings. And it's just, that was the need that the youth wanted. They wanted the safety that they could come home. And so if you do Google the address, it's 126 Alfred. We are in the inner city of North End, Winnipeg. And so it comes with its own complications of being unsafe. But it's assuring to youth that there are staff and security on site majority of the time. And so our day-to-day, working with youth and young adults mean guiding them in ways many of us had to learn on our own, laying out the options and choices and supporting them through any decisions they make, regardless of our personal opinions, as well with advocating for them so others can support them the same way. We're ensuring youth know they have a voice even when they can't find the will to speak. The answers will come and the curiosity will show. You do not need results to understand that they are learning. And so training, guidance, and memories. The youth that choose to live within the program can stay for 3 years or until they are 26, whichever one may come first. They have the options to gain experience for employment, education, as well as attending programs that create safe core memories. These programs are selected by the youth, and we continually ask the youth in their own ways on what they need or what would they like to see for the upcoming months. The whole program is guided by the youth living in the buildings, as well through running White Wolves Youth Council, which is held by Southeast Child and Family Services and Shawinigan Abenuji. And the way we do this through surveys, our meetings, our day-to-day check-ins, and monthly calendar meetings with the youth. So empowering opportunity skills development. Our program is developed to nurture the gifts that the youth have or aim to discover. As everyone is unique, and many of the ways we do that are through our Box Still program, casual full-time positions, creative skills, and youth-led programs. And so I'm just gonna go into this. So the Box Still program is the construction company, we'll go back. Okay. Yeah, stay there. The construction company that built our housing, right? And so within the last few years, we've had opportunities for them to take our youth and to train them and to proceed with full-time employment with them. And so now those youth that live in the program now have the opportunity to build other programs. And so casual and full-time positions, the program, Memengwaa Program, our youth, our Southern First Nations youth, our program is Southern First Nation guided. So it's our responsibility for those community members to hold our positions. And so we train them, we get them into starting casual. We have a building caretaker, we have 2 receptionists. Many of them are full-time employees as the aunties, as the scabes, and some as security. And then Memengwaa Program is its own building. Shawinigan Abenuji has its main building on Main North End. And many of our youth do their trainings through our program, and then they go to Maine as full-time positions. We have a finance clerk there, and support workers and caregivers. And so we just want to shape them and guide them into these roles. And so creative skills, that's done through our programming. So many of them won't share their gifts, but there's been times where they're sitting with us and we see some, like a small little notepad, and it's like the most beautiful art you will ever see. And you wouldn't even know that they could draw like that. And so with that, we do the murals, we give the opportunities for them to paint their buildings, paint the hallways, paint the walls, and vice versa. And so in youth-led programs, I'm all about giving those youth those space to share those gifts, right? And so many of them know how to do moccasins, dream catchers, clay work, singing, and nature walks, right? And so many of them would hold those programs. They would be the facilitators, and we just pay them based on honorarium. And then eventually get them employed. And so, and we'll go to the next. And so many of the things we do family programming. Our program has always offers, encourages youth to invite their friends and family to the events. We all understand that this is their home, and with a home, you need your family. When parents are struggling, we ensure we create plans in place for their family's safety. Our program could create what they request to meet their specific needs. This may look like creating contact lists that staff can communicate with, stepping in to watch children per parents' needs, creating opportunities for parents to utilize for well-being and learning, and cultural focused programming for parents to experience together with their children and supports. I remember when we first opened up Memengwaa at 126 Alfred, there was a day I had 3 babies on my hips, and it's all because the parents needed to go to programming, right? They wanted to go to program. And unfortunately, we didn't have childminders, but staff stepped in. Although we do have full-time positions, nothing is above us or below us, right? And we all just do what we need to do to ensure that those parents, those youth, have the day that they needed, right? And so we'll go to the next. And so you'll see these pictures. This is a bundle for the families throughout their time within a program that was recently developed through Memengwaa and centered by them. And so we called it Raising Roots. We had 8 participants go through this program. We're going into our second phase soon. And so we ended it with a feast, and we ended it with a bundle presented to them after a sweat. And so in this bundle, they received a shell, medicines that they harvested, moccasins that they created for their children, self-care items like bath bombs, sprays, all that fun stuff. And this was a program guided by them, and everything that they did was something that they needed to stay on their alignments with whatever goals they had for their families. Some of them were dealing with child and family services in their family homes, and some of them weren't connected, like mother and father were not together. But this created an opportunity for them to be together, to create these memories with their children. This was an 8-week program, and 4 in-office sessions, and then 4 land-based sessions. So they built their teepee, they built their sweat lodge, they did traditional parenting and lateral parenting violence programs by facilitators in the community. Go to the next. And something else our program does, it's harm reduction and outreach. Sorry, I'm getting thirsty. We ensure our relationships built within the program do not end the day they move out. We created our outreach program to meet the needs of youth and choose to maintain their supports and services at no cost to the youth. The youth who experience addictions know they can come to our buildings and receive the support they require with food and hygiene services as they leave. And in 2024, we established alarms in our bathrooms to alert anyone that someone may require help in the event of an overdose. Youth are aware the system is in place, and we can assist youth and maintain their specific needs through funding from End Homelessness Winnipeg. Yes. Now I'm going to pass it on to Elaine.
Hi. So I moved into Memengwaa in February this year, and I was aging out of care from Southeast CFS, and I was scared. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, like, take care of myself in a way that I could stay stable on my feet. Because growing up, I was in quite a few homes. It was okay. Like, the families that I had, no worries. Thank you. Where was I? Families, yes, there we go. The families I had, they were okay. But moving from home to home, I lose connection really easily, especially if I really enjoyed where I was. But when I got closer to being 21, because I was born in 2004, I wasn't sure where my road was going. And thankfully, I got referred to Memengwaa. And since then, oh my gosh, I was given like way more opportunities than I expected that I was going to get. I was looking for a job for maybe 2 years at this point, and I got referred by Dakota here to be a receptionist at the Alfred building as casual to start. And now I'm at the main office as full-time receptionist, working with administration and like general supports around the building, and it's been really nice. I've also learned like a lot of skills, cooking, budgeting. That's a big one. I've also become more social. When I moved in, I was not, like I could not be up here right now talking to maybe 100 people in here. Even right now I'm shaking, but it's been really good, and I really have enjoyed my time there. I've met so many people there, and so many nice, friendly people. Summer, Dakota, and yeah, I love it there.
Okay, and so I just want to acknowledge that we were selected last year as one of the 2 winners of the Making the Shift Youth Homelessness Prevention Awards. Our program was thankful for the honor and recognition of the work the program has done in ending youth homelessness and Indigenous homelessness. This award has created core memories for the youth and will continue to impact the youth in meaningful ways throughout both buildings. And this is Making the Shift, A Way Home. And so that time flew by really fast. This presentation looked a lot longer on the computer. So we have we could either switch this up. We could do our activity. Do not mind the 10 minutes. I do not want to rush anybody. And so what we have here, we have medicine pouches and a note written by you guys for yourselves. And what do you carry for the individuals you work with? You're going to place the note in the pouch along with traditional medicines and give yourself a moment to reflect and honor that individual or the experience you bring to the space around you. You can honor your note silently, or you can share. And so we'll get Summer here so I do have to apologize. We only have 40. And so if you can, maybe possibly partner up or just select if you want to do it. So we'll have Summer, I guess, make space over here somewhere.
And if they want to do a Q&A, will they do this?
Yeah, and we'll do a Q&A during this process as well. And so this activity that you all participated in reflects the words that we carry, the core life moments we endured while being alongside an individual. It's a moment to give each other space to remember why we are here, why we choose to support, and what makes us chosen people to be alongside our youth, our families, our supports, and our community. And then we'll do Q&A. So we'll get Summer and Elaine, do you want to help?
Pardon?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, no, Elaine.
Oh, okay.
And so if you do want to come and make a quick medicine pouch, I guess just line up quickly, come see Summer and Elaine. They'll hand out the supplies as needed, and the notes. I do have to say, we do not have pens. We forgot them at the hotel. So please use your pens.
We only have 40. Okay. I mean, worst comes to worst, and we have this. So they just need to
And I'm just checking in, gentle reminder, if anyone has any reflections they want to share, questions. This will be a good time. Oh yeah, they have questions? Great. I see.
And you're gonna need
So Mike?
Oh,
Oh,
there we go. Now we're cooking with oil.
Yes, I know. Okay, so hi, nice to see you. What were the age groups of young people that could come into your program? I think you said 26 was the highest?
Yes, so our youngest has been 15, but we found that that is really, really young to be in an independent living program.
Yes.
But it's typically 17 to 26. But with our outreach program, it goes up to 29. They do not have to live in our program to be affiliated with the program. And so, yeah.
And so it sounds like most of what you're saying is that that young people choose what they want to do and choose the classes and choose everything. Is there any point in time that people are asked to leave, and what would that look like? This sounds like it's very open, very much wraparound, and very much community. Is there any reason that someone would have to go?
In the event someone has to leave, it's just due to the safety of the whole building. And so something our program does is based on choices and, I'm blanking on the word here, but chances. And so if this youth, for some reason doesn't follow the manual, I'm just gonna throw that out. But they are always welcome to come and talk about it first. And if we can create a plan in place to prevent it or to get in the way before it happens, right? We'll do it that way. And if someone has left the program, which it has happened, we're not I'm blanking there, but they have left just due to addictions rise. And so if, for example, one apartment at one point got every single wall was just like broken in, right? And this was just because of a psychosis, and due to the ongoing needs that youth needed, they got referred to another program that was able to sustain those needs. And during that psychosis, there was a lot that has happened, not just the walls, but safety to other youth in the program. And so we just had to look at everybody's needs at the time. So.
Thank you for that question. And is there any more? I think I seen a hand. Oh, okay.
Thanks for your presentation. Using houses that are up for demolition is a huge opportunity in many cities. And I'm curious how you went from securing funding to, and if you had to go through the zoning process at the city, and how you worked with the municipality, and if there are kind of any lessons learned there for other municipalities as well. Should we have access to buildings that would otherwise be demolished for use such as this, or other housing uses?
And so I unfortunately was not a part of this process for zoning and everything, but I've heard a little bit. And I guess the challenge is like with the city. It was just more so if we didn't get established as a community resource center until a few months after the youth had moved in. So we had to limit to a few things, but that was in the early stage. And so with that, the need is there, right? If you guys have ever been to Winnipeg, like there's a lot of housing that's not being utilized. There's a lot of empty homes and a lot of empty buildings that could be turned into transitional or independent living homes, or just homes, right? There doesn't need to be a program for housing. And so, yeah, I guess our challenge would just be that we had to be limited for a little bit while. We are on a riverbank as well, and so it's beautiful, we use the land, but we just have to keep monitoring, so, yeah.
Thank you for your question. Oh, sorry.
Oh, there's a question.
Yeah, and they're in the back, yeah.
Bonjour, Jalwanawanimkikwe Indigenous, Chimigwech for your presentation. I'm wondering if there are any insights that you might be able to share on how you made your programs feel safer for Two-Spirit or trans youth. Like particularly any practical pieces, did you do anything different, like your intakes or just any insights you might be able to share? Chimigwech.
So in our intakes, something that we do right off the bat, we ask them their name. Many of the youth don't use their legal names within the program or their biological gender. And something that is done throughout our program as well, if they are involved with Child and Family Services, they get direct living funds every 2 weeks. And so we don't use their names, like their biological names. We use their names that they've chosen for themselves throughout our financing, throughout our programs. The only time we have to do that is if it's like legal requirements, but that's always with the permission of the youth. And so that's in our intake process. And right off the bat, we honestly, like, we just forget their real names. Like, we have to ask their real names, right, for the intake process. But after they say it, we'll never say it again. And that's something that all the staff do, as well with their pronouns and genders that they choose.
Great question. Is there anyone? Oh, there we go. Lady in red.
So if they don't have to pay their rent, it's paid by somebody else, do they get an allowance, or is there something that they get monthly for just their own
Yeah,
needs?
that's their direct living funds. And so many of them get, I want to say it's averaging between $350 to $500 biweekly. So it is low cost for Winnipeg. It isn't enough. I would hope that it gets raised higher. But genuinely, something else our program does is on top of those that $350 to $400, they, and I quote this because it's not their actual rent. It's just to show them how to pay rent. We allocate them some funds on top of that, and then they pay it biweekly, which is technically $300 a month. But again, it's not like enforced, right? It's usually paid through the Child and Family Services or the End Homelessness Fund, EIA. And if they do work, it's 30% of their income. And so whatever that looks like for themselves, so.
Great. Oh, we have a question up here. Okay. Don't know if there's
Actually,
some
can I
mic.
take a minute to just explain the activity?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Summer.
Sorry, for the ones who got the medicine pouch, it's pretty straightforward. You would take your circle, all the holes, and you're pretty much weaving your leather in between all the holes. And then just make sure that the strands are even at the end. So when you tighten it all together, it should bunch up. And then you could just tie the end. And the sage you received is actually picked by the youth in our building. It's prairie sage. It's good for cleansing the mind, body, spirit. You could hold your medicine bundle wherever you'd like. You could have it in your home, your office. I've seen people hang it on like the mirror in their car. Unfortunately, we don't have any, but you're more than welcome to take it. medicine. Yes. We don't have any more circle pieces. We didn't expect such a great outcome. But we have lots of our traditional sage here. You're more than welcome. This is for you guys. So if you want to take some sage home, please feel free. You could smudge with it. I've seen people hang it in their house. Yeah, so yes. I see people have got the hang of it. It's pretty straightforward. It'll be quick. And then what were they going to write inside?
And so the question is, what do you carry? And so you're just going to write on your note something that means something to you that you carry throughout your work for an individual or yourself. And I think we had a question over
up
here.
the third row.
White t-shirt.
I was going to say with an orange lanyard, but that doesn't really.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. It's kind of a two-part question. I may have missed out on, I might have glossed over one of the details. So I heard you say a lot of the young people are coming through child welfare. My first question is that a criteria for entry into the program? Or is it broader than that? And then how do you manage that? As a person who also manages a lot of residential programs, it's one of the challenges I always find is how do you make decisions about who has access to this resource? Because it is finite. So that's my part A question. And the part B, which also comes from my experience, is the challenge of the exit, especially around like the financial aspect and the lack of employability in today's sector, automation and all the other issues that are rising up to create so many challenges for young people now. So at that 3-year mark when they're exiting, I know that I'm sure there's planning and whatnot, but I'm just wondering if you could speak to a little bit about what you're seeing as young people exit back out into the world and how they're doing.
And so for part A, so how we manage that, we do have a wait list. And so it's always the youth-based. We don't ask social workers. We only ask social workers to get us in contact with that youth. We get referrals from social workers or self-referral. Many of our youth have referred themselves to the program just because, as Elaine's story, it's very similar to them. And then we follow up with them every few weeks. For the most part, it's about 6 months to a year for somebody to move in, just based on the fact that it's beautiful housing and it's really hard for them to go somewhere else. And then for B, I wanted to say, can you repeat that?
Today's world is so hard.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah.
How is your program supporting young people in their exit strategy?
And so we begin a year before they move. Many of the youth have to transition out soon again. We're gonna have up to 6 by the new year that have to move out. And come this summer, it was the 3rd year. And we still have 2 in the building, and it's just because they can't secure affordable housing elsewhere. Many of them are on EIA, and with EIA rates, it's incredibly, it's not enough for Winnipeg housing for them to get stable housing. And we don't want them to go back to like another family member's home. We want them to secure their own independent apartment because that's what they've been living in for 3 years, right? It's gonna be a hard transition to go back to a friend's or a family member's house. And so with that, we began the planning process a year prior. There is no pressure for them to start doing viewings or applications anywhere. It's just for them to like dip their toes, see what it looks like. We don't want them going for the first one that they view. It's just because it's usually like a $500 to $800 range, and those aren't the greatest, right? And so we do that as well with through end homelessness funding. We're able to pay their first month's rent and damage deposit if needed. If not, we get EIA to do it or CFS to do it. Many of them are I don't know if you guys are aware of these terms, post-majority and age majority, but in Winnipeg, that's how most of the agencies work with for young adults. Many of them go into those programs from 17 to 18 years old right off the bat. And so what we're seeing is there's a shift coming, right? And so, and when I say that, it's because financially they're not going to be supported much longer, but they're going to be supported through resources that they need. And so with that, our program is supposed to sustain off of that, but we're able to sustain longer without it. And so we still don't have to ask those youth to leave. And then I think I covered it. Yeah? Thank you.
That's a great question. Anyone else feeling inspired over here?
Hi there. You mentioned that the construction firm you worked with for the original renovation, you had a bit of a collaborative partnership with them where skills training and employment was being provided. I was wondering if you could talk more on how you developed that relationship and how you've been able to maintain that relationship.
And so it's maintained through myself and the past directors. This is, I think it's 3rd year running. And they have the youth still go through a hiring process. We had many apply, but unfortunately, because like if they're scared of heights, you know, it's not something that they needed to select. But many of them still have the full-time opportunities with the program, and we stay in monthly connections with the I want to say team leads on that end of Boxdale program. And then it starts off as a summer job, and so they just do part-time, and they just throw them right into it, which in a respectful way. And I know many of the youth come with trades background, and that's something that they wanted to go into, but they don't need the experience. The Boxdale program trains them throughout the time. And then on our end, we're the ones that secure them, the boots, the hardware, and transportation. Recently, we had to supply youth with a phone, right? And so just for that communication. And then after summertime, they get offered a full-time opportunity, and it's up to the youth to take that position. But yeah, it's been a beautiful program, and so. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Ooh, people feeling inspired. I love it.
Hi there. Thank you very much. I oversee some supportive housing in Nova Scotia. I'm curious about what your most effective conflict resolution methods are. You know, is it a healing circle? Is it, you know, what kind of things do you find help sort of navigate and thus like teach that conflict resolution and communication skills, especially in your group setting?
Yes. So we encourage the youth to either, we can go up to their units, or they come downstairs and we talk in one of the rooms. So it's mostly the culture room. It's almost like, well, it's not almost like that. We ask them who do they want in this meeting, and then what do they need from this meeting. It's not us telling them what to do. They know the choice they made. They know what that leads to, right? And so we just give them the opportunity to tell us what they need from us to help them along the next steps with their things. And it's in some events, some youth do need like a letter template, almost like an accountability letter. But again, it's choices and chances. And so on our end, we put in those letters what we're accountable for and what they could be accountable for. And so it's just more so for them to have something on their fridge that they needed to stay enforced with themselves. And the only time that really gets enforced is like if it gets on the dangerous end. But for the most part, a lot of the youth respect the space that they live in, and it's been a really good journey. We've had hard times for sure. It's young living programs, but at the end of the day, it's their home, right? And so we have to adapt to it.
That's a great question.
Hi. Right here. Just in terms of like cultural reclamation, how has that been incorporated into your programming for youth, and what are some benefits of youth attending ceremony? How have those benefits impacted and enhanced their daily living since being at Memengwaa?
It's improved, and so many of the programs that we offer is land-based programming. We have a holistic wellness worker, and his whole position is just to get the youth out on the land. And so on a day-to-day basis, he goes daily. We have a location outside of Winnipeg in St. Anne's. It's we have our sweat lodge, we have our teepee grounds, and I don't know what it's called. Like, I don't know. It's just a big shed. It's a big shed where it's almost like a wellness area. And on that land as well, it's one of our Shawinigan's caregiver homes. And so children that are growing up in that home are seeing what's on their own land, right? And so what benefits our program is many of those youth deal with day in, day out addictions. And so we welcome as they are. And they, it's almost like prevention, right? And so they go out on the land and they know they choose themselves to not do, I guess, like go into the substance use in the evening, right? And so, because they know the next day they're going back to create the teepee, they're going back to pick the grandfather rocks, they're going to pick the medicines. And so it's helped in that way. And in a capacity, many of them, in some way, we're showing them the ways, because again, it's about one day Elaine holding my position. It's one day those youth are holding the land-based positions, right? And so we're not always going to be here, and we're showing them the ways to find the sage, find the cedar, harvest things correctly and harvest them appropriately, as well with facilitating these programs, right? So.
Just a quick follow-up to that, like, are you noticing then that there's a decrease in substance use?
Yes, within this last year, our first year was really rough. It was really rough, guys, but it was also very, that's what we're seeing right now, right? We're seeing that the decrease in substance use. We're seeing that youth just needed safety. They just needed their own home. They just needed their own space. As well with the staff, be careful in your selection of staff, right? If you're working with Indigenous youth, at least have majority of Indigenous staff, because those are the aunties, those are the uncles, those are the cookums, the mushums that they're gonna look up to. And I just say that because we are Indigenous-led program. And so majority of our staff are, it's family. It's just a family setting. Even though they're not biologically related, at the end of the day, it's an honor for them to select us as their family members on the ongoing future. And majority of them that have moved out of the program, like we have 31-year-olds still coming to the building, right? And it's just because this is what they've known, this is their home. And so, yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that question. Anyone else feeling Oh, okay.
Hi, so I also get grants from different communities, the CFS grant, I think we may have gotten the same one. How are you navigating in kind of that tracking or colonial system, the reporting? So when you're reporting back, which we all need to do so we can, get our monies to move forward, yours is so inclusive and wraparound and culturally based. So it definitely does not fit in the normal tracking system. Can you just talk a little bit about how you're giving back that information to government or giving back to funders?
It's very hard. Just
I know, it's so hard.
Oh no. Our main funder is End Homelessness Winnipeg, and she may or may not be here, but she's been amazing. She's very helpful, and I recently came into this role within the last year, and so learning it, the funding agreements has been, I wouldn't say challenging. It was fairly easy, and she, our funder, she's been amazing with helping that process. And we do it quarterly. I have to do it quarterly, and monthly updates just to keep it going, right? And so, in that sense, I personally just stay true to myself, to the program, and she's just been helpful in that aspect. So.
Thank you. We have someone. Oh, there we go.
I work at the Friendship Center in St. John's in Newfoundland, and we just opened a transitional housing a few months ago for women and two-spirit individuals, and many of the women living there, like are ex incarceration or they're dealing with their addictions, and they haven't had their children living with them for a very long time, and family programming is something that's definitely lacking. And I was just wondering if you talk a little bit more about how that's structured and how you do that.
And so we have 2-bedroom units. It's primarily for young families, but at the same time, we do handle families that come into contact with Child and Family Services again within their time in our program. It's just liability, it's their case plan, and accountability on both parts, right? But at the same time, we are the ones that contact Child and Family Services. We are the ones that help navigate that system with them so they don't have to do it alone. And majority of the time, because they are in a safe program, that file closes fairly fast. And then justice systems, youth have, it's not a thing that we look at. It's at the end of the day, they still need the home, they still need the space. And so we do have to look at social histories, but it's not more so for selection. It's just more so to know what they need from us and how we approach them. If families can't move into the program, then we use the siblings or roommate situation. Roommates was quite a challenge. So I want to share a little story. At one point, we had 4 boys move in all within 2 weeks of each other. And 2 didn't know each other, but they fairly found each other as friends were in common. And so they lived together. And then we had one youth who was a bit shy on living alone, so he referred his friend, and his friend was a Southeast member, so they all moved in together. And I laugh at this because we have a guest policy as well, and so all 4 came down, and they found out they all lived in the same building, and they it was like a little reunion, just seeing them all in a youth word, bro, it was just funny to watch, but wholesome to see. And then that same evening, 20 kids came to the building, all trying to see these friends, and I'm like, ah! they can't come here. But it's because they tried getting over so we allow 4 friends to come into the building at the same time. And they're like, well, I get 4, they get 4.
Right.
And I'm like, no, they gotta go home. So, and keep in mind, these are like 15 to 18-year-olds. And so these are teenagers that should be in school, but they ended up at our building and I had to send them home. But it was just wholesome. It was just funny. They're really great kids at the end of the day. And so, at the same time too, the way we approached that way, we just laughed with them, right? They knew they were getting over the line a little bit, and they just want, I guess, just push them where they can go, right? So, yeah.
Hello, I'm a youth housing worker from Toronto. I'm a youth case manager. And I just wanted to know, do you ever have it where you are connecting like with external organizations? Maybe it's Indigenous youth external organization, or maybe it's just Indigenous specific, but just youth organizations helping your youth for whatever they may need. And how does that look like for you guys? How do you like accept or not accept somebody that may be coming to you?
And so a little bit different than that, but we don't just work with Southern First Nation communities. That's just the priority. We do have youth that come from other First Nation communities, and we just work alongside whatever support system they have. But on external programming from different organizations, it's just networking, right? So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to be the ones to dish out most of the funding to create that program, right? Those programs are already there, and it's just we would just be the ones to take those youth to those info sessions, get them aligned with them. For example, right now, I think it's in our region, it's Assembly Manitoba Chiefs, and they do programming through a family program and youth development, which is a gym program, right? So in Winnipeg, the gyms can be quite costly. They can't afford it on the per diems, and they can't afford it on EIA or anything else with the living situations in Winnipeg. And so this program subsidizes that, and we're able to either support it or have like another entity pay for it. And so now they can go to this gym program at no cost to them, and we're the transportation, or usually the other organizations pick up the youth. And so, yeah.
Great question. Are there any more questions from the floor? No? I have a couple, if that's okay. Or
Yeah.
how are you feeling?
I feel good. Yeah.
You're good? Okay. If another community wanted to start a similar youth-led housing program, what key advice would you give them? I think we've seen elements of that throughout this discussion, which is great.
I guess just be open to the unexpectations, and then also don't get whatever these titles may be for your organization. Don't I guess it's just a title. It's just a role. Like for myself, I'm a director of engagement, and if you think of that, you think like it's office work. I'm just policy. I'm just the funding part. But at the end of the day, I don't do that. Like 2 weeks ago, I painted a whole apartment to get it ready for a youth. And so I program. I'm the one that goes. I help the aunties. I help the uncles get the youth going, because sometimes they just need that little push, right? And so I guess just looking at what those roles look like in your housing program, and then just, you know, and I said it before, don't think you're below anything or above anything. And at the same time, I was told this once, don't do anything that you wouldn't ask someone else to do. Or, yeah, I think that's what I said.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is staying away from rigidity, right? Which oftentimes comes in colonial systems. And you okay for a couple more? Okay. So this program brings together housing, education, employment, and aftercare. What were some of the biggest challenges or lessons in aligning those systems?
Not enabling. There comes a point where we had to look at ourselves and we had to be like, are we enabling or are we benefiting them? And that's just more so because, like, I'm a yes person. I'm and majority of the team as well. Like, we just want to, we want to fill out those forms fast because it's confusing for you. We want to hold your hand in the doctor's office, but at the same time, that just becomes enabling, and that didn't teach them how to do that on their own. And so we would just have to tell ourselves to take a step back, right? And I think that was it.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And how are we all feeling? I think I'll probably ask one more question. Does that feel good for everyone? So what are your hopes for the next phase of this really great work?
Something in Winnipeg, and as you may not know, Winnipeg has the highest population of child and youth in family services, especially within the Southern Network. Most of those communities are way up there on the maps, which limits resources. And so on our end, I would like to see reunification housing and more independent transitional housing. And so I think we can accomplish more buildings just like the one we have done. And especially with the reunification route, and not reunification where it's the way, I don't know, and the way you guys think it may be, more so reunification that the kids move home fairly quickly, they move home with their parents, and like our building, team is on site to assist them with anything that they may need, or just caregivers in site, but the mom and dad could come back into the home, right? And so that's where I would like to see that. So.
That's lovely. And so I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to Elaine, Dakota, and Summer for sharing your insights and experiences. And thank you, everyone in this room, for contributing to such an important conversation. I think my final reflection, the Memengwaa Program reminds us that when Indigenous youth are supported to lead, I'm going to pause there, grounded in culture, community, and care, transformation happens not just for individuals, but for entire systems. And so I just want to thank you all for being here. And yeah.